Welcome back, YouTube, to another episode in this series where we're covering how to make an FPS game in Unreal Engine 4. Now, we've got some very different loose ends, of course, that we're constantly trying to clean up. We've got weapon systems that aren't complete, inventory systems, player movement and interaction systems, different stuff like that. Our bullets don't even look great. We don't have muzzle flashes. We've got, UI that's pretty bland. So everything's like pretty minimalistic, but there is a lot of function there. But let's add to that function today by really expanding what our inventory can do. And I'm going to pre-warn you guys, this is going to probably be a long one, if not split up into even more episodes, as the previous one insinuated. But there's a lot to this, so just sit down, get ready, and this is not pretty straightforward at all. We're going to be jumping around a lot. There's a lot of blueprints, a lot of interacting, and I'm trying to keep it as organized as possible, but it's difficult. Inventory is very complicated. I kind of wish I had a whiteboard to show what I have to go through to really make it work, because I do have an intention of making multiplayer. I'd like to show you guys, I do have multiplayer working in a small capacity in my second game. If I do listen server here, and trust me, I do have a point in showing you all this, but if I walk over here, let's see, where am I? Oh yes, my server guys spawned all the way up. Let me jump off the cliff here real quick. There's a point to all of this. Basically, these guys are in a multiplayer world. They'll interact with each other and shoot weapons. They won't necessarily take proper damage, I don't believe, but nonetheless, they'll see each other pick up each other's weapons and all that good stuff, and look up and down properly as well. So let me just pick up a weapon, oh, the weapon didn't attach, but oh well, it's all work in progress. Nonetheless, these guys both have inventories, right, that they can equip and unequip, and we want to be able to have multiple weapons that we can equip and unequip and swap in inventory, and of course have an inventory we can scroll through. There's slow progress being made. I don't have a ton of time to work on this, but I'm kind of showing you guys what this is going to look like here and what we're working towards. And you may think that's pretty simple to do that, but there's actually a lot that goes into it. So let's start with making an enumerator here in our UI inventory folder. If you aren't familiar with any of this, or if that all just kind of sounded way out of left field, link in the description for the playlist of this tutorial series. Okay, so let's see. What was I saying? Enumerator for our UI. So we're going to create this, and it's going to be inventory slots, because we need to know what unique kind of inventory slots we have, and there's going to be several. So I'm just going to add a bunch, and we'll name them as we go. I'm going to copy paste it though, because I'm lazy. So we've got our main inventory, which is going to be our bag. I set that as the top, so that way it's like the default. If you don't have a place to go, if you're not armor or weapon, if you don't, if the default should just be the bag, right? And then of course we've got our primary slot, our secondary slot, our melee or tertiary slot, however you want to set up your game, a grenade or consumable slot, because you never know, what kind of stuff you want to also give your player. And let's just say armor or clothing. Okay. For some reason, there's like this weird lag when clicking between two Unreal Engine sessions for a copy paste. It's interesting. Anyways, so we've got armor for the general parts of the body, and then some equipment items, and you could have even more. As many slots as you want. Go full Doom guy. 10 different weapon slots, whatever, right? But this is what I've got, and this is kind of what I'm sticking with for just the general purpose interactive side of things. Okay, so there really is a lot to do, and I'm gonna try and figure out the best order to do this in, but I think the first place we should probably start is in our blueprint character. Let's create a function called add to inventory. So first of all, we want inputs on this. There's two different ones here. We're gonna have an item blueprint, and let's see, I believe this is gonna be just an object master, because that's what we work with. So now hopefully you guys can see why we use these master classes and these generic classes that we've created, so that way we kind of just have this umbrella to be like, hey, anything that is our object, because we know what our code's going to use, anything's going to be a child of object master, certainly. And if it's not, then guess what? We don't want to interact with it. Then it's probably the wrong thing to interact with. We know that we can just use whatever child casts there are. If there's, the rifle or throwable objects, grenades, different stuff like that, ammo boxes. So the second thing we want is the destination slot. And that destination slot is actually going to be inventory slots that we just created. Because we're basically going to have an item and where it needs to go. And then we'll have other details contained within inside here. But let's check if this is valid. Is valid here. Okay. And we need to make an equipment array. Now, I kind of just have this as kind of like a backup. I'm sure we'll need this in the future. This may be completely excessive. So maybe I'll glaze over this for now, but I'm just going to set it up now, and you guys tell me if you think what I'm getting at. Because this equipment array variable I've created is a map. So let's create this variable here, equipment array, and it's going to be a map of inventory slots to object master. We don't quite care about what the main slot is, because that's going to be our general bag. But what this will allow us to do is have our, and we'll add it dynamically, but this will allow us to have all of our, let's see if this is valid. We'll, hold on. Sorry, I know I'm not getting to what I'm saying here. Let me demonstrate it real quick here. I'm gonna connect this, and then we want to connect that there, and that there. So what this is doing is the second we call something to add to inventory, whatever it is and where it's going, which we'll set up earlier, or later rather, in a different part of the blueprint, it's going to add to this equipment array, which will be just a little local variable we can call at any time if we're like, hey, what's our armor, or what's our secondary slot, or whatever, like what's in those slots. We won't want to use this to call what's in our main bag. We want to use our general inventory or another variable for that. But this would just be a quick way for us to check what's on hand, right, and what is on our equipment. And this is just a quick early way to set it up. Okay, so let's switch on inventory slots based off of what we're receiving here as a destination. And then we do need to get our inventory UI. I made a little macro for this, so I will do likewise here. Get inventory UI, and all I'm doing is getting my inventory UI and casting to inventory main. Speaking of casting, keep this in mind. I'm going to be casting a lot less often because I'm experimenting with something else that I'm learning called interfaces, which I've recently learned that are more efficient than casting, and you shouldn't be doing casting calls you should be doing casting calls as little as possible. Minimal casting calls. Do not cast a ton. And I learned this recently, and I do cast a lot. You guys probably know through my series, so I'm going to try and fix that, and we'll band-aid up all those forecasts later. But for right now, let's just do what I said not to do and make a cast as get inventory UI, and then grab this little guy here. Now we would just go inventory add slot or something like that, but we don't have that built here, and that's what we're going to need for basically every step here. So that's why I said we're going to be doing some jumping back and forth, because there's really no good starting place. You kind of have to go all over the place sometimes in code. So what we need to do is create in our UI here, let's go to our UI main, let's go to our graph, and let's create a function called inv for inventory add slot. And I did add lost. Isn't that just great? I really can't spell today, or ever. So what we can do from here is add some inputs. We're going to need 3. First of them is going to be the item BP. And that, of course, will be object master. The second one will be destination. oh, sorry, this needs to be inventory slots, but the name of it will be destination slot. And then we need the equipment array variable that we're going to pass through from our player. And let's see, inventory slot, make it a map to object master. Okay, there's that. So all we need to do is promote this to a variable inv equipment array, so that way we can store this locally on the inventory just as a secondary place to store it, since it is inventory related. And then we want to switch on inventory slots. Okay, so while we're in here, let's just finish up basically what we need to do in this. So I'm just gonna say, let's start with the primary slot here. And we're gonna create an widget from our inventory slot, which we set up in the previous inventory episode. If you missed that, check the link in the description for the playlist on the series. So from here, I might have to grab our primary slot. Give me a second. We need to go to equipment here, equipment window, canvas panel, primary slot. Okay, this needs to be a variable, and so does secondary slot. I don't know why those weren't variables, but that's quite okay. And if I compile that, okay, so then I should be able to control drag this out and add child to horizontal box. Okay, and then we'll have the content be our inventory slot widget, which we just created. And oh, that just needs to be compiled. It's giving us a little warning because our player wasn't compiled for that variable. We also, in our inventory, need to set item info. Oh, wait, we didn't set that up on our slot. We will. Give me just a moment here. But let's connect this. And for all right now, that's I think that does it. Let's just grab this here and get item. Do we not have item info? Let me double check here. So if we don't, I'll have to set that up for us. Object master. Oh, there is no item info. We never set that up. Okay, that's fun. What the item info is a structure of just variables that we want to carry from item to item. So I'm just going to right click in our blueprints and yeah, I guess I'll do it in objects, I suppose. Blueprints, structure, item info struct. Open this up, control shift S rather, and we need a few variables in here as well. I'm just gonna spam it full. First one's gonna be the item name, pretty straightforward. Next is going to be the item's blueprint, and this is really nice to just pass variables through and also store variables. Item image, array index is equipped, the slot here, let's see, and then the object type. And of course, there's not all going to be booleans, so let's make this a name. Let's make this object master. This will be a texture 2D. This will be an integer. This will be a boolean. The slot will be e-inventory slots. And then object types, I can't remember if we had made this. We have not made object types, so we'll need to make that enum as well. Let's go back here, right click, create blueprint, enumeration, object types. Enter, control shift S. And we've got 6 types I made here. We've got weapon, armor, consumable, item, interactable, and miscellaneous. So I like to kind of think of my code as being as modular or possibly used in a different way in the future as possible, right? Like, I kind of want to future-proof. That's what I've talked about in the past. Our code is really the limit of how we think about it. If I can use object types in more than one area and use case than just inventory, I might want to know closest thing I'm next to or something else. I could use this to grab any kind of data and filter between this type of data and grab this information from certain objects or what, I can find new ways to use the tools and scripts and blueprint code and everything that I've created and think of them and be like, oh, well, yeah, I initially created this for a completely different purpose, but maybe I can use this later. So that's why we've got stuff like interactables or miscellaneous in there. Yeah, we'll have possibly interactable objects like turrets we can throw down in our inventory and miscellaneous objects, but you never know. You might want to be able to just trigger an interactable or something that you don't actually want the player to pick up. Certain things like that. So we should be able to set object type now. There we go. Okay, and then we can save this up and just make the array index -1. It's kind of like a validation thing. I forget why I do that. Anyways, code stuff. Save everything and we can close out of this. So now we want to actually go to our object master, add a variable called item info. And it's just going to be our item info struct. That's it. And that needs to be a variable, not a... There we go. Okay. And we can set some defaults here. It can be none. That's fine. Okay. Item image. It can be blank. Let's set a blank item image. Let's find something for good, like null image. I'm not sure. The UE4 logo. Fine. So if something doesn't have an image or it's a good kind of benchmark to have defaults that are out of the norm, that aren't game breaking, but they're just out of the norm enough for you to recognize that you need to change them later, right? Because otherwise you'll just go on and on with your game and maybe completely forget something because, maybe you don't have enough people to bug test or this, that, whatever it is. But, just try to set things. If you need to work on it, make it obvious that you need to work on it if you're going to go off and do something else. So thusly, I'm just going to set it to a UE4 logo because obviously I don't want a UE4 logo as an item inventory icon. So regardless, that's just a good kind of thing to start with. Main inventory, that's fine. Object type, item. Okay, we need to change that for our weapon master. So compile this up, class defaults, and now we should, class defaults, I was already there, item info, right there. So item name, weapon, let's say weapon master, I guess. Yeah, weapon master. Still just a blank logo. We'll leave that for the master, but for our children rifles, then I'll probably actually make that. I haven't made any children rifles except for this rifle test here, but we can give them some proper icons for sure. Let's see. Is equipped, leave that false. Slot, we can leave that as main inventory. Object type, now this is, I'm on the wrong blueprint. There we go. Now this is a weapon though. So we can change that and save it. So let's go back to our player character and actually go to our event graph here. And let's go, to our functions. Equip item. This is going to change a lot. I'm just going to give y'all a tiny sneak peek. Here's what it's going to start looking like. It's a little bit longer and a little bit more colorful, but still, fairly compact. So at the beginning, we're going to actually add some stuff we didn't have before. Let's add a boolean here called in inventory. Oh, I can't spell. Actually, I want to add a question mark to that. So this is purely for future reference. I'm not actually going to do anything with this now besides attach it to a branch and make it the first thing that we pass through and have it be false. This is going to be for if we can get to it to this episode. This is going to be necessary. If not, it'll be a next episode thing. Thankfully, it will default to false, and there's nothing you got to worry about, so it should just go right on through. But, of course, there will be somewhat of a caveat if it's already in our inventory, which we'll address when we get there. So, let's go all the way to our end of our code here. So, we didn't have much going on, and it's going to kind of change if you saw previously. We're going to want to make a small function called getEquipment because we're going to use it here and there. It's just going to be a pure function, and all it's going to do here is get our equipment array, find the slot here, and then at the end, it's going to get the item, and if it is valid, which we'll connect there. This will be slot. So if we compile this, go back here, we can primary weapon, that's fine. We were setting that before, but let's make it a little more versatile. Get equipped weapon, connect that, and we can just go to inputs, drop this down, uncheck the pass by reference so you can pick it manually. You don't have to just pick a set there. And then we'll make this primary slot. Yes, we could use a branch, but I'm also leaving that variable in there in case we decide to use a branch, because honestly, they're pretty interchangeable, but hey, it is what it is, right? So let's move on to setting up our inventory, adding stuff, I suppose. So on primary weapon, we're going to want to set item info there. And we're just going to right click item info and break it out. So split it. Let's move this stuff along here. And I'm just going to get item info and split it as well. So we're going to connect everything except for just a couple nodes. So it is now equipped, yes, and our slot is now primary. That can go there, and we're good to go. It can go on and move on to that. So on this though, we will want to set item info. Once again, split it, and same with the get and split, if you will. So we'll just do the same thing, except we're just going to specifically denote that it is not equipped and that it should go to the main inventory if for whatever reason it says otherwise in its code. So now after these, we can add to inventory, and of course the item blueprint will be our equip item, or in this case the primary weapon. And we want the destination slot to be primary, and that can stay main inventory. Alright, let's save this up. Now let's go back to our main inventory here, and now we should actually be able to set our item info based off of this. So let's get item info, and I think we actually... Oh, nope, sadly we do actually have to go add this to our slot as well. So let's go to Blueprints, UI, Inventory slot, and add item info. And this will be item info struct. Compile. And then we can go back to the main inventory, set item info to what that is going to be, because we just set it in our equipping. And now we should see an item pop up in our equipment inventory. No, not quite. Okay. Let's add a breakpoint here and let's see if it's ever getting to here real quick. Doesn't quite look like it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I usually debug code and figure out what's happening here. So add inventory slot. So let's kind of reverse back to what's happening. So whenever we pick up, we want it to go to add inventory. Oh, well, that's why, because I never came back to here and set any of this up. Duh. Okay, well, let's go set this up now. So we can drag off of this and add slot right there. Okay. And all of these need to connect to this add slot because they're all going to do the same thing. Kind of. You guys will see here as a result. I will explain as always. Let's get the item blueprint and the destination slot, of course, and this equipment array, of course. That's all that's going to happen there. Basically what it's saying is you just tell me which one's going to where. And yes, they are all going here, so you might be like, well, why don't we just click and drag this and just like not go there if it's the main inventory? Well, this is basically the way to do that, because we're actually going to need to do something else for the main inventory. A quicker way to do this, I suppose, the only reason I'm not doing this is because I don't know what else I'm going to add to these inventory slots arrays yet. You know, I don't know what other way we're going to want to handle the inventory. The other way you could do this is you could get this and you could say, equals, or not by enum, equals enum, and it's basically going to give me the list of our enumerations, and I can say if it does equal, then we can go off with the other thing that I need us to do for main inventory, and if it doesn't equal, you can just go off to that. You know, you could really just consolidate this into this. But like I said, if you add other things that you need to handle differently, you will have to handle those exceptions with booleans. Whereas if you do a switch, all you have to do is drag off the executable that you add. Every time you update the enumerator, this will add on here as well. So that's why I'm just handling it this way. But hey, you do you and whatever you feel comfortable with. If you run into those roadblocks, don't say I told you so. Or didn't tell you so, rather, whatever. Okay. So for the main inventories, though, we need to add to inventory, not that kind, sorry, inv add slot, there we go. Okay, we're going to do this, but we need to do some kind of peculiar things with the item info. So we're going to get item info and set item info, but in a stupid way. Let me also make, oh wait, hold on, make item info struct. There we go. Okay, so let's set this here right before we add it. Okay, and the target is going to be what we're grabbing here, and of course I'm going to break this and split it. Alright, so let's expand this, and everything we can connect except for, once again, just a few things, which this time is going to be the array. So all we want to do is, and I just realized I have an inventory array variable I never added because this is going to be the array for the rest of the bag. There we go. Okay. Let's get this and say last index +1 is going to be the new array index. Okay. And that's what we're going to set that to. And then we will add to this index, or this array rather. And of course the object we're going to add is our item BP object here. And then we can Geez, so slighted. We can connect everything else. Destination slot, item BP. Perfect. Okay, there we go. And I think that about does it. Then we should just be able to destroy the actor, since we... Oh, destroy tractor. Tractor, not that. The actor. Because we don't have that going on in our equip item anymore. But of course, you know, this is only going to destroy if it's going straight to the bag. If it's going to our hand, it's just going to attach the real world item that's already there. So let's save this and go play real quick. Pick this up. Oh good, we're getting a little breakpoint there. Let me remove it. And then just resume. And pick this feller up as well. Go to our equipment. Oh wait, that should probably be the Unreal Engine logo. If I click on it, nothing happens. Okay, let me go to my Weapon Master real quick. Class defaults, let me change this to like, yeah, there's probably nothing. Gun, AK, yeah, I don't have any good, I don't have anything. Let's try that. Let's see what that shows up as. Probably not much better, but let's just see if it shows up anything at all. Equipment, nope. There's no image being shown there. Okay, let's see what we can do about that. So if we want to hop over to our inventory slot and go to our designer real quick, let's go to our image and take our brush and bind it. And what we will have happen is we'll get our item info. Since that's being set, yeah, I'll just break it. I don't want to see everything here. What we can do is make a slate brush and connect it to this, since that's the image it's expecting, and that's the image that we have set. And then if I play here and go pick it up, hit equipment, now it's that tiny little image. Now it is a smaller image, but let me see how our settings are set here. Oh yeah, we might want the image to fill. Yep. Okay, no, that looks right. Okay, I think these needed to be on there. And there you can see it filled up the image just nicely there. But of course, you know, we don't have any good gun images. I'll see if I can get my hands on some and, that are free and let you know where they're at. But that's basically how we're going to add to our inventory to be able to get an item that pops up properly. Now, let's try and see if this will work for a secondary. I think you might have caught earlier that it didn't. But let's get that working for our secondary, and that's going to be another slightly more challenging process, but in a different way here. So let's go to equip item, and we're going to want to do something different down here in our secondary. Let's move all this down. So we've got this false that comes down here, and we're going to want to switch this on object types, and we'll move all this down here. Kind of out of the way. The object type is going to be actually our item to equip. Get item info. Let's break it to a structure and get its object type. Now, if it's a weapon, we're going to want to, let's see, is valid, and get equipment, get our secondary slot. We want to see if our secondary slot already has an item in it. Now, if it does, you know, we don't want to add this to our secondary slot because there's already something there. We want to add it to our main bag because, you know, it's just another weapon that we're picking up. So we can just leave that as main inventory and make the item blueprint the item to equip there. Now, if it's not valid, then we can actually get this item to equip and set item info. And once again, if this get equipment is not valid, that means we don't have a secondary weapon in our slot, which is good, meaning we can throw something in there. So let's rather, suppose we have our structure already broken here. We just need to make a structure here. Our name and blueprint image, that can all stay the same. The array index. The equipped, we just want to make sure that it thinks it's not equipped, and we do just want to make sure that it knows it's going to the secondary slot. It's going to be the same kind of object there. And let's see. Then we just want to set secondary weapon. Then we can attach it like we're wanting to our rifle holster, checking if we're valid. Of course, it's going to want to do this, but we've kind of already done that ahead of time. We rearranged how we had it. So I'm going to actually remove all this here and duplicate our add to inventory. Get our secondary weapon as the item blueprint, and of course the destination slot should be secondary slot. On both of these, we can set the pickup item to be blank, which we want so that way it doesn't think there's anything else we're trying to pick up. We're done with our equipment here, and I believe that's all we need. So let me just make sure. Oh, nope. Let's go to our inventory main and set up this. So I'm just gonna duplicate that for the secondary slot, but of course I'm going to make this the secondary slot instead of the primary. Now, what is our error here? Yes, you need to know what your item blueprint is. Now if I play, nothing in my equipment. Okay, pick up this gun. Cool. Okay, second one. Nice. Alrighty. Well, let me just identify the second gun with a different image, just to make sure that it is actually a different weapon. Let's see. Yeah, sure, that. Alright. Pick these two guys up real quick again. Go to our equipment. And hey, two completely different textures indicating two guns. Now, clicking on them doesn't do anything right now like it does in my other project, but it will. We'll get there. I'm not going to handle that right now. And we do actually still have issues with the camera moving around our inventory whenever, we move around our camera. So not the other way around. Our camera's still moving when we're moving our mouse in our inventory. We don't want that. We want everything to stay still while we're navigating our inventory. So let's handle that in the beginning of the next episode, and then we'll talk about how to equip and unequip our weapons and switch between them just by clicking on our inventory slots here. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I hope this helped, and I hope you enjoyed everything that you learned today. If you did, a like would be much appreciated, and subscribing would be awesome, because I'm going to keep posting videos like this. Throw suggestions and all that stuff in the Discord channel, link in the description, or of course the comments down there. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you all in the next one.